kind of an interesting, it's an interesting time of the year for me, I think for everyone, but more so for those that I don't know, have always celebrated feasts or the events that took place surrounding those things when Yeshua was here walking the earth. Beginning with the triumphal entry, as it was called. I always find it amazing all the detail that Yahweh goes to. And Yeshua, and he talks to the disciples, go into this town, go to this house. There's going to be a couple of animals there. Take the colt, never been ridden on, and bring them to me. And if the owner says anything, tell him this, and he'll say, okay. And that's exactly what happened. Attention to detail, yeah. The selection of the lamb, even in the very first Passover and every subsequent Passover, wasn't a random thing. They had certain things they had to look for. Certain things they looked for on a lamb, and either they had to see these things or they shouldn't see other things. So it was very specific because this lamb had to be special. It wasn't just any lamb. There's certain requirements. Yeshua's that lamb, you know. It all culminates as the sacrifice lamb that culminates at the cross. And then there's the tomb. I've got some stuff rolling around. I'm going to be talking about that in the future here. But because of the way we've done things, not by we, I mean Christianity, the church, the body of Yeshua, however you want to phrase it, when we get to certain times of the year, we kind of get involved in the way we do things, but we don't always hit certain topics because there's just not enough time. Just can't cover everything. So I know we're going to do this next Sabbath. I'm pretty sure if I got the times right, the foot washing. But I wanted to do it today. I wanted to, this next Sabbath's going to be an abbreviated message, but I wanted to do this whole thing. I think it's important. It's all going to be in John 13 if you want to turn there. If you don't, you can just listen. I'm just going to start in the first verse and just read. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Yeshua knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. I just love that phrase. He loved them to the end. And supper being ended, the devil having already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Yeshua, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from Yah and was going to Yah, rose from supper, laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. Then he came to Simon Peter. Peter said to him, Lord, you're washing my feet? Yeshua answered and said to him, what I am doing you do not understand now, but you will know after this. Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. Yeshua answered, if I do not wash you, you have no part of me, with me. Simon Peter said to him, Master, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yeshua said to him, he who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you, for he knew who would betray him. Therefore he said, you are all clean. So when he had washed their feet, taken his garment, sat down again, he said to them, do you know what I have done to you? Or do you understand? I think is the word that actually is used there. But do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. They all understood what was happening in a sense of foot washing, in the terms of whose responsibility it was when you went into a home, and who it was a responsibility to wash the feet of your guests. And often it was, as I've said so many times before, if you were wealthy enough, you had servants that you would assign to do that job. That's what they did. And it was a symbol of welcoming. It was also refreshing. But this is different. And when Yeshua says, I've washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet, he's not just talking about washing feet. I mean, if you never washed anyone's feet, but you did what Yeshua did in his life on the earth, you're in good shape. So let's go back. Let's start in verse 3. We're going to start in verse 3, then we're going to go to verse 2. Yeshua, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from Yah, and he was going to Yahweh. You know, he got up from the table and did that, what he did. But before Yeshua kneels, because that's what he did, he had to kneel, he had to get down on his knees and wash their feet. And before he did that, he shows us what he knows about who he is, about himself. It says, he knew that the Father had given all things to his hands. He knew that he had come from Yahweh, and he knew that he was going to Yahweh. He knew who he was. He knew where he came from. He knew where he was going. Listen, there was no identity crisis with Yeshua. He didn't need a name tag with his pronouns on it. You know what I mean? He is Messiah, Son of the Most High Yah, the only begotten of the Father. Full of what? Grace, right? Full of grace and truth. He knew all these things about himself. And that's important. This is a distinction that we need to recognize. I don't think I ever realized this until this week, how important this was. He knew who he was. And I think we have to ask ourselves, do you know who you are? Do I know who I am? Well, I'm pastor, yeah. Some are leaders, some are board members, some are this and that. And, you know, do we know who we are? That's what we do. That's not who we are. Do you know who you are? Because that's important to know who we are in Yahweh. Because identity precedes humility. I mean, if you're going to be humble, you got to, how do I put this? It's kind of an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms, if you will, but if I'm going to be somebody in Yeshua, if I'm somebody in Yahweh, but I'm going to be humble about it, I need to know who I am, right, in order to be humble. If I'm a nobody, being humble is no big deal, is it? Do you know who you are? You are a son. You are a daughter of the Most High, creator of all the universe. And anything else that you have heard contrary to that is a lie from the enemy. You're not a nobody. You're not a failure. I love that one part of that song that we sang about. I can't remember it now, but the part about something about he was there for our failures. I don't know if you know that line. But I love that part. Something about, what's that? Yeah, you stood before my failures. I'm somebody, I don't say this, I just say this because it's a fact. It's not, I'm not degrading myself. It's just a fact. He's been there through all my failures, and I've had a lot of failures. But when I coached Little League, and these kids would strike out, and they'd come back to the dugout and they're all depressed and they're all down and they're dragging their bat and throw their hat on the bench. You've probably been there or seen it yourself, kicking the dirt and all of that stuff because they struck out. And they went down swinging. I never had a kid, well, maybe there was one, but most of the kids that I coached Little League for, when they struck out, they never struck out just standing there. They always went down swinging. And there's something in that effort. You didn't hit the ball, you didn't drive in a run, but you made the effort. If I failed, it's just because I was trying to do something. If I never do anything, I would honestly be able to say I've never failed. That doesn't make me a success, does it? It just means I never did anything. I never tried anything. We all know about Thomas Edison and his efforts to create the incandescent light bulb. And all the failures that he had. And when they asked him about that, he's reported to have said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I learned 10,000 ways not to do it. Identity precedes humility. Yeshua knew who he was. He knew where he came from. He knew where he was going. And that's why he could humble himself. Because he knew. When you know you are loved, if you don't remember anything else, remember this line today. If you know and when you know you are loved, you can pick up a towel and serve. See this? Towel-bearing discipleship. It's the title of today's message. And when you know who you are, you can pick up a towel and serve. It doesn't matter if it's the lowest job in the house. It doesn't matter if it's the lowest job for the lowest servant. You can do it. You can do it with joy. Yeshua said, with great joy, I've looked forward to doing this, eating this supper with you. This is part of that supper. This is how the supper concluded, actually. Pick up a towel and serve. See, this isn't just, he did wash their feet physically, but this isn't just what that's about. It's about serving. It's about serving each other. It's about me serving you and you serving each other. So we all serve each other. It's about serving everybody and anybody. We're going to read about that in a moment. Know who you are and know that you are loved by Yahweh. Man, by the grace of Yahweh, if I get to be I know I'm an old man now, but if I get to be a really old man, watch it back there, a really old man, and before Yeshua returns, he takes me home. If I can go knowing that I served you and I served anybody I could, and that I served him well, I'll die a happy man. Let's go back to verse 2 for a second. Supper being ended, there's a couple of translations, manuscripts, early manuscripts that have during supper, but we don't know for sure. It says, the devil, having already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Simon's there, right? Judas is there. Judas is there. Judas is hearing all this. He's hearing everything Yeshua's going to say. He's going to, Yeshua serves those who don't deserve it. When you think about it in that sense, nobody really deserves it. They didn't deserve it, but he serves those who we might write off. Now, let's be honest. Everybody's got a list. Everybody's got a list. A list of people we probably wouldn't really approach to share Yeshua with. Might be that really grungy, scrawny, weed-smelling, BO smelling. You can smell them. I've had this. We could smell them coming half a block away. We all have a list. We don't think of it in terms of a list. But when we avoid something, that's our list working. Yeshua serves those who most people think don't deserve it, or they're not going to receive it. So that's not my problem. That's not your problem, whether or not they receive it. That's their problem. And that's between them and Yahweh. See, it's not like you have a sales job, and you got to make the sale, or you're not going to make any money, and you're not going to meet the bills and food on the table and all kids getting clothes, etc. It's nothing like that. We've got it kind of made, because it doesn't matter if we make the sale or not. It matters if we present the product, if I can use it those terms. I just have to present Yeshua. I have to share Yeshua. The rest is up to him and that person. Think about this. Yeshua washed the feet of his betrayer. What was Yeshua thinking when he knelt down in front of Judas, put his feet in the basin, and began to wash his feet? What was going through? I'm going to ask him what he was thinking. I don't mean, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? I'd like to know. When he was washing his feet, think about it. He was kneeling at Judas's feet, the feet of his betrayer, right? Knowing what Judas would do, knowing that those same feet were going to run off shortly and betray him. Those feet would be bringing back soldiers and onlookers to watch, to betray him, to say, he's the one. That's the guy. Kiss him on the cheek. You grab him. And the feet of one who just totally dismissed and disrespected Yeshua's grace. And what does Yeshua do? He goes down the line as he's washing their feet, and he gets to Judas, and he looks at him, and he just skips him and goes to the next guy. He gets to Judas. Judas, people say, well, Judas was born to betray him. He had no choice. So why did Yeshua go to all the effort to try to get Judas to change? I know, let's take this thief and give him the money, the bag of money that we collect, and we'll let him handle it. Every opportunity Judas had. And here's another one. Yeshua washing his feet. The king washing the feet of his betrayer. Knowing what Judas would do. This whole foot washing thing is about serving. And Yeshua is saying, look, I will serve you. I'm serving you now in spite of what you've done already and what you're going to do. I'm serving you. And I will continue to serve you. He didn't say this. This is me just going off on what I think it would have been. I don't know what was going through Judas's mind. There must have been a great turmoil going on, but he was already gone. This is love. I want you to think about it. This is about service, but this kind of service, this is love. It's radical, isn't it? It's undeserved. That's what grace is, right? It's undeserved favor. It's radical. It's undeserved. And I read this somewhere. It's heart-shaped. It's cross-shaped. It's cross-shaped love. Because Yeshua was going to the cross. He was going to the cross for Judas as well, but it wasn't going to happen for Judas because Judas wasn't going to receive it. Now, I think about people through the years that have wronged me or my wife. Some of them have really, they're not here, so don't start. There's been a lot of hurt, and you forgive. You do, and you move on. Every once in a while, though, something pops into your head. I can't tell you how many times, this is from the 70s, but how many times this one incident pops into my head, I just can't. I've forgiven, I can't tell you how many times. Not only have I forgiven, I've asked Yahweh to bless them. I've asked him to forgive them. And I ask him to bless them, but it keeps coming. I just got to keep forgiving. But then I think, that's nothing compared to what I did to Yeshua. I was responsible for nailing him to the cross. I was responsible for him being tortured and beaten and spit on and stripped naked and hung on a cross in horrific suffering. I was responsible for that. And he looked down from that cross, and he looked right at me through the ages and said, Father, forgive him. He doesn't know what he's doing. Let's look at verse 15. He goes through all of this. He washes their feet. He talks to them about it. And he says, I have washed your feet. You could put in there, I have served you. You ought also to wash one another's feet. You also ought to serve one another. Verse 15, for I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. He didn't say, look, I'm doing a great thing here. You might not know it right now, but eventually you're going to know it. I'm doing a great thing here. I want you to really admire that. I want you to look at it and, just admire it and think of what a great guy I am and all the strength and love it took for me to do what I'm doing. He didn't say that. That's not what he wanted. He didn't say admire what I've done. He said do what I've done. I've done this for you. You ought to do it for each other. This type of Christianity, this type of faith, whatever word you want to use. I never know when I'm standing up here. Christianity is fine with me, but this type of faith is not optional. It's not a choice. It's not part of a multiple choice question or solution. It's not optional. It's the very heart of discipleship. Yeshua said, if you would be one of my disciples, you must come after me. You must follow me. It doesn't mean walk where I'm walking. It means walk like I'm walking. You want to be one of my disciples? Live like I live. That's the heart of discipleship. And above everything else, Yeshua was a servant. I did not come to be served, but to serve. The very heart of discipleship is servanthood. And that's what he did. You can't really be a follower, you can't really be a disciple of Yeshua without picking up a towel and serving others. It just doesn't work. It just not work. That picking up that towel. It says he rose from supper and set aside his garments. I don't know what to tell you about that. You just have to figure it out yourself. I mean, they had an undergarment. He took his outer garment off. He knelt down in front of these guys that he had done all these miracles in front of and humbled himself to serve them. You can't be a disciple of Yeshua without picking up a towel and serving others. All right. I'm going to close with verse 17. If you know these things, understand these things, blessed are you if you do them. You look up the word blessed. What's another word that can be used here? Remember? Happy. Thank you. If you know these things, blessed or happy are you if you do them. Can I see a show of hands of people who don't want to be happy? Who don't want to be happy. All right. So we're all in agreement on that. Everybody wants to be happy. Blessed. But happy. You know what? Yahweh wants you to be happy. People think, Yahweh just does stuff to me because, he doesn't want me to be happy. He wants me to, the only way I'm going to grow, the only way I'm going to be changed is if he's always doing something to me. He wants you to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. And everybody wants to be blessed. That's why we have so many crazy things going on in the world. People are trying to find something somewhere, and they're just not finding it because they're looking in all the wrong places. But Yeshua said, you'll find happiness, you'll find blessing in serving. You'll find happiness and you'll find blessing in serving others. And this happiness is not found in the knowing about something. Not knowing about it that makes you happy. You know, we can read. I've read scriptures all my life, memorized quite a few of them. But it's one thing to be able to memorize word for word what the scripture, what it's saying. It's another thing to know it. And when you know it, it is life-changing. This happiness, this blessing, is not found in the knowing. It's found in the doing. Blessed and happy are you if you do them. Last week, talked about becoming like Yeshua. This is part of becoming like Yeshua. Towel-bearing discipleship. You can't be a disciple without the towel. I almost brought a towel to wrap around my neck for this message today, but towel-bearing discipleship. You know what? If for no other reason than this, that he deserves it. He's worthy of that. And you know what? Nothing, well, I can't say nothing, but very few, very little, changes people's lives like the love of Yeshua being expressed through his people, his disciples, who are serving them.